if I know who I am, if I get my inherent value, regardless of what I look like, how much money I make, what car I drive or don't drive, any of those external factors, if I feel enough just waking up and being who I am, I won the game.
Today's guest is Alexi Panos. She is a true gift of a woman, a master coach and facilitator, best-selling author, co-founder of the Elementum Coaching Institute, humanitarian, and mother to 4 under 4. Alexi was named one of Origin magazine's top 100 creatives changing the world, one of 15 women that wow by Creative magazine, and one of the stars of breakout documentary The Abundance Factor and Rise Up. She's also authored the book 50 Ways to Yay and co-authored the book Now or Never together with her husband Preston Smiles. And within this episode, we jumped on how to do it all with more ease and intention. How to shift from living in your masculine to creating in your feminine. Healing your overachiever without giving up on your dreams. Acknowledging and integrating your shadow to become the most powerful version of yourself. And how to be fully empowered in your life. That and many other golden nuggets were shared in this episode. I definitely recommend this one. Keep on watching as we dive right into it. Alexi, thank you so much for making the time to be here and to be sharing with me again in this podcast.
I'm so excited. I always love your content. I love what you're up to in the world. And I love that I get to serve and support whoever is listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was feeling into, as I just said to you, what do we get to speak about today? And you're one of these people that I know we could speak about so many things and get to so many places. You're like a weapon in so many ways. But the thing I know that comes up for a lot of people when they see you and the way you show up in the world, the way you show up in your service is how does she do it? It's this superwoman, Alexi. How does she manage to have 3 little kids and be a wife and be a human and a woman in an industry where, you know, it's a lot, really building a business the way you have done and dealing with all the things. And you are someone, obviously, I know, not just professionally, but we do have a friendship. And I know that you are like this in every aspect of your life. So much attention to detail. So you're just really present and intentional with everything that you do. So I wanted to start really sharing with my listeners about this, I guess, this possibility or this capability that you've developed to be present with so many aspects of your life or to so many aspects of your life and do so many things, because we all have 24 hours in our day. And yet some people manage to live and run lives the way you do. And some people don't manage to put the energy where they would like to. So I guess let's start there. How do you do it?
One step at a time with a lot of grace. You know, it's interesting. I feel like something I am naturally gifted at is planning. You know, I have a Virgo brain and I love to plan and kind of see what the bigger, grander vision is for something. And for me, when I have this big vision, I have a very clear mountain that I'm headed towards. I then ask myself, okay, well, what are the most important things to do to get to that mountain most effectively, with grace, with ease, with joy, with presence. And honestly, like in the last, I would say since I've had kids, so 3 years, I've really added the joy part, because I think before then I was just like, go, 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 get it done. And I was really priding myself on like how much of a boss I was, because I was achieving so much and doing so much and very, very much in a masculine way, owning my very masculine tendencies to get it done. But when I became pregnant, it was like this thing switched in me where I was like, okay, that's not going to work anymore. Your body is making a human being, so you need to slow the F down and like be present for this too, because even though it doesn't seem like you're getting a lot done, you're actually building a person. So there's that.
Yes.
Right. And it taught me that there is so much magic in kind of kickstarting the process to get to that mountain, but then letting go and letting spirit and source guide the rest of the journey. And that alone has allowed me to really be present to the details that matter most in my life, because instead of stressing about the small things that I used to stress about, now it's like, well, what matters most to me? My family, my people, my relationships, my service. Okay, great. Can I show up for those 3 things today? And all I have to do is one thing and make it matter one small way each day. And that is progress towards that mountain.
Definitely. And I see that with you, as I said, like you're so present and so intentional with the different things. And I have noticed that within my own personal journey as well, how I am able to be in so many more places, in so many more ways. Like some people look at my life sometimes and they're like, how do you do this? Like, how are you doing your apprenticeship with all the medicine work and then building in the entrepreneurship area? How do you, and I am present to many different things and I have a lot on my plate, and it comes down to that intentionality and to really choosing to be present with each thing and choosing to say no to the things that maybe we would do by default or habit, yet aren't
your obligation.
Yes,
Like sense
sure.
of obligation. I can't even tell you, Sigrid, like, and I know you know this about me, like I'm not on my phone a lot. And a lot of people in my industry are on their phone all the time, like nonstop. And that's one thing I've given up in order to be present to things that matter more to me. Not that my phone and social media and all that is not a part of my business and my brand and my life. It is, but it's not the most important part, right? And I think that's what people also need to get is you have to, like, something's got to give and there's always a cost. So in order to be present to the things that matter most to us, we have to be willing to strip away some of our attention suckers, which may be our phone, it might be TV, it might be people. And we need to say, okay, not right now. Like that's not on my values right now. And I have to be okay with letting that go and having people maybe be upset with me because I'm not responding to everything and every text. But my kids will be happy that they have a present mother, so it's like give and take. There's always a cost.
Yeah, that's huge. And I've even noticed, like, this is more in the subtle energetic level of things, but I've even noticed that when we do, even if we're making, let's say 3 to 3:30, I'm on my phone, and then at 3:30 I'm with my partner, what I have found is that when we open up to many conversations and many people, and someone's asking you for a favor and someone's asking a question and someone wants something from you, and then you get to respond to this other person, whatever, energetically, it's like we are spreading ourselves, right? So when we try to come back into presence, there is that lack of presence because we are in so many different places. We are here, but we are in the conversation we're having with someone that is in Boston, and then the conversation we're having with someone that is in the UK. And then, so really to be in that presence, there is that need to really get clear on what gets to have your attention in a priority list. And I have found that sometimes you can't just switch from like, I'm on my phone and I'm paying attention to everything and everyone, to I'm super present with my kids. Like it does need to become, I guess, like a way of living and a way of being. Something that I love that you just mentioned is also that going from the go, achieving, and finding pride in how you could do everything and achieve all these things to finding the flow that you're living in now. And one thing that I know shows up for a lot of people, especially in this industry, is definitely perfectionism and overachieving. And I see there's a shadow aspect to this that a lot of people aren't looking at when it comes to why do we wish to overachieve? Why do we wish to be seen as the super person that can do everything and anything and can achieve all the things and climb all the mountains and all of the things? And I know that this is something that you have worked on As you've shared with me many times, that perfectionism is something that you went deep into and really looking and unpacking. So yeah, share with us a little bit more about that. What was your journey to discovering the shadow aspect of perfectionism and overachieving?
Yeah, it's so big. And I think, we live in a society that validates and reinforces and celebrates overachieving. And I think that is something that can have a lot of us thinking that we're doing the right thing, that we're on the path, that we're getting it right, that we're successful. And I think that was my journey for so long, is I was comparing myself to this societal ideal of the more you achieve, the more valuable you are.
Mm-hmm.
The more success you have, the more respect you'll have. I had all these underlying stories that I wasn't necessarily conscious of in the forefront of my mind, but when I really looked at it, it was like, oh, I'm trying to somehow get the world to go, yeah, you're good enough. You finally did it. Good job, Lex.
Mm-hmm.
You hit $1 million. Good job, Lex. You launched 40 programs. Great job. You've spoken on stages all over the world. Amazing. You wrote 3 books. Like, for what? If I'm not doing it for the need to just create and the need to serve and the need to share a message, then ultimately I'm robbing people of the fullest expression of that creativity. And that's something that I found myself when I really looked at my life. It was like, oh, okay, there is this subtle need to be validated under it. And the surface was there, and the wanting to share and create was there, but the shadow of it, there was like this driver where it was like, yeah, but it's not enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough followers yet. It's not enough money yet. It's not enough impact yet. And that was the trickiest one, was the impact, right? Because it's an altruistic goal. It's like, I want to serve as many people as possible, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's going to go, yeah, what a great goal. It's not about money. It's not about recognition. It's about people. It's about service.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't enough. And what wasn't enough, what was driving that was the lack of enoughness that I truly felt within myself. And I think that's where we are as a society, is we're all looking for these external drivers of validation and enoughness, whether it be our followers or our bodies or our beauty or our money or our cars, whatever it might be. There's all of these external drivers that the world goes, yeah, it's okay. That's a part of it. Play that game. And so we're like, okay, yeah, it's okay if I play that game, but we're not doing it consciously. And where I've gotten to now is like, I'm working on validating the enoughness within myself. It's like, if I know who I am, if I get my inherent value, regardless of what I look like, how much money I make, what car I drive or don't drive, any of those external factors, if I feel enough just waking up and being who I am, I won the game. Game over. I won. Yay. Now, anything else I achieve from that point is bonus. And that's what people don't get. It's like, if you actually do that work, and it's not easy work to validate yourself, to truly find out who we are at our core and to be that in our fullest embodiment and expression. If we do that, the catch 22, the cosmic joke, is that you don't actually need any of the stuff that you think you need or that you're desiring to go after. All of it just becomes a bonus. And you and I have talked a lot about this, just even in business, right? It's like, how do I set goals when I already know I'm fully taken care of and I'm in service and I'm living my alignment, I'm living my truth? And it's like, it can be a challenge sometimes, because you're like, oh, I am everything. I'm connected to everything. I'm already it. I need no validation. I need no money to tell me and prove. However, there's other things that I want to create. And why not play the game in the 3D world, being a human, from a place of wholeness and completeness and a sense of self that's so strong and so unshakable that everybody becomes a magnet to you, because you're just that powerful. And it's so funny. Again, the cosmic joke is, the minute you don't need it is when it all comes flooding your way.
Yes, 1,000%. And this is something that I work on with my clients a lot. It's really understanding that we do have both aspects. And I feel like what a lot of people do is they focus on those altruistic goals, those noble goals, the things that are admirable, that are, I'm all about the impact and I'm all about the service and I'm all about the good things. And yes, that's in there for sure. I do believe that anyone doing, working on a service-based business has a desire to create an impact and to serve others, for sure. That makes sense more than it not being that way, right? However, we all have that shadow aspect to ourselves until we work through it. And I find that a lot of people tend to push that away because we don't get taught how to, and because it can be scary, and because a lot of the times we don't have a level of self-acceptance that allows us to look at those parts of ourselves that we deem as ugly or unlovable. But it's so important that we do so, exactly for what you just said, in order for us to step into the fullest expression of our leadership, being potent, being aligned, being in integrity and in embodiment. We need to do this work and really look at, okay, what's a part of me that still is doing this for validation, for praise, for attention, so that the people that bullied me in high school can see that I made it, so that my father or my mother can see that I'm good enough, so that the ex that cheated on me can see that now I'm this big person, so that I no longer ever have to suffer about whether I'm stable and safe or not. We have all these subconscious reasons why we seek these things. And I feel like, especially in the personal development industry, it's so easy to jump on a ride in this ego ship where we tell ourselves that it's all about the service and we're so altruistic and we're so amazing. And yet we can find ourselves in these power dynamics where, if we're not integrating the shadow aspects of our leadership, the shadow aspects that are driving the ship, where we're looking to create those things within our businesses and with our impact and all of that, there's something in there that just isn't clicking. And I'm really passionate about that. And this is something that I love about you, is that I know you get these. I know you get that it's so important to be in embodiment of leadership. And that starts with how you lead yourself and how you are in life.
Yes. Yes. And you know, what's coming through for me as you're sharing that is this concept that if you're not aware of your shadow, you're essentially leading from the shadow. And even if our intentions are there and we feel like we're going the right path, which I thought my intentions were there, my leadership wasn't clean. It wasn't clean because there was this aspect of it that wasn't fully free. Because if there's any part of myself that is basing who I am, what I have to say, where I'm trying to lead people on anything outside of myself, it's not free. It's not independent. It's owned. It's slave leadership, right? It's essentially saying, okay, I will lead as long as I'm being approved of, as long as I'm getting money, as long as I'm getting likes, but the minute my leadership in its fullest, most honest and authentic expression wants to go left, and if left doesn't get me approval and money and likes and all the things, I can't do it. And that's what I find. And you and I, we've talked about this, right? There's a lot of people in our industry who feel very different when you meet them offline than who they are showing online, because online they've created a persona in their leadership that gets validated and is very acceptable and is very politically correct and doesn't really veer off path and never says anything to hurt anyone's feelings. But then when you meet them offline, you're like, oh, wow, you're actually really opinionated about X, Y, and Z. Like, you should show that. And it's like, oh, well, I don't really want the haters. It's like, but is it hate? Because true leadership takes a stand for something. And the minute you take a stand for something, that means something else is over there. You know, if I'm a stand for left, that means right is now on this side. And the people who are on right are going to hate left, right? The people who are on straight are going to hate back there. And so we have to be willing to be clean in our leadership to truly, truly lead from an authentic place, because otherwise our leadership is technically owned by whoever's validating us or whatever is validating us.
Yes. And I think it's Preston that says actually sort of, I think I've heard this or a similar sentence from him, which is, what you don't own owns you.
Huh?
And I love that because it summarizes it pretty well. It's like, yes, if there's any aspect of yourself that you're not owning and aware of, then in that moment it's got you. It has
100%.
you. And that's
100%.
it. And with the clean leadership, what I was just thinking about as you were sharing that, that's also what helps us stand out. I know that there's a lot of coaches being concerned about now the industry growing and there being coaches everywhere. And I do not buy into the story of the industry being flooded. I think we need more coaches and we need more people doing this type of work. In saying that, you can truly see the difference between a coach that's just regurgitating information and repeating the same personal development concepts that we've heard that. It's kind of like primary school for coaches, personal development, primary school level. And then we have the personal development PhD level. And those that stand out in that way are those who have owned themselves, who have gone to the depths of depths within themselves and done that work, because you can really feel when someone is just repeating the thing that you will see in everyone's and anyone's Instagram or everyone's and anyone's article, or when someone is really speaking from a deep space of embodiment and experience.
That's it. And it's knowing this, right? Because even the most simple concept of, let's say, life is happening for you, not to you, right? Simple concept, personal development 101. It's one of those things we learn early in our journey, right? I could make a post about that right now, 20 plus years into the game. But if I'm speaking and sharing from an authentic space of how that lesson clicked on a deeper level for me yesterday, people are going to resonate. They're going to remember it. And talk about leading, talk about having people learn. People learn from stories. We're story beings. And this is why vulnerability and sharing our journey as teachers is so important. And I think that comes up for a lot of people in this space who are leaders and experts and coaches. They say, oh, well, I don't want people to think that I don't have my life together. I'm a coach or I'm a blah, 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 you know? And it's not that you don't have your life together. It's that you're human. Like, I'm human, you're human, we're all human. And as long as you're human, you're going to experience some human shit, right? Like, part of the game. But how you be with it, utilizing the tools that you have, is what makes you a powerful, transformative person that can lead other people through human shit. And so that's something that I always share with my clients and my audience is like, don't be afraid to share your journey. Don't be afraid to share the aspect of yourself that is learning and going deeper on a lesson that maybe you learned 20 years ago, but is landing in a completely different way now that you've got 3 kids and you're married and you just moved state and blah, 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 all the things that are new for me as of last week, right? Like, I'm constantly evolving as a human. So even the simplest things can hit me in a much deeper way if I'm open to always being a student. And I think that is a big issue in our industry, is a lot of people want to get to coach level, get to expert level, get to teacher level, and then they stop learning. And that's a huge deficit. The greatest enemy of knowledge and wisdom is somebody who has a false concept of the knowledge and wisdom that they have.
Yes, for sure. And I guess that comes back as well to, why are you in it for? And I feel like, because the coaching industry, and this applies to so many different industries, but obviously I see it in my industry even more so, right? That it's sexified in a way. It gets sexy. There is this part of our egos that can find it really cool to all of a sudden be able to see the shit in people that they don't see. And all of a sudden there's a sense of superiority where it's like, oh, I know what you're going through. I know what you're not seeing in yourself. I know more than you. I have information about you that you don't have about yourself. I can help you. There's all this like sexified things around the coaching industry as well. Like, there's, you can have people follow you on social media and like all of your pictures and watch your stories and want to know more about your life and leave you awesome comments and share things about how awesome you are. So if we don't keep that ego in check, it's so easy to go again on this ego trip of like, I'm this amazing thing, which you are amazing. And we need to make sure that this doesn't take the reins, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like what we all get to really, really, really deepen into is, what's the end goal of your service? Because if the end goal of your service is surface level, I want to create an impact, I want to be of service, but really I want to make lots of money and I want to have lots of praise and I want to have a really comfortable life and I want to work from my laptop in Bali and I want to have all these amazing, like, you know, different things that I can share in my stories and all of that. Awesome. That will take you only that far, right? But what I see with the people that are making the biggest impact in this industry, in any industry, they've really tuned into and committed, and they're devoted to goal, an end goal that's way bigger, right? For instance, when I think about why I do what I do, you know this, I'm absolutely obsessed with the idea of having a humanity where people are free. I want to see humanity liberated from suffering. The idea of having people that are poor and that can feed themselves, they can't pay for education, they can't go to the doctors when they need it, that breaks my heart completely. The idea that there are people having lots of money while other people have nothing doesn't make any sense to me. The idea that we are destroying the earth, that we're not in harmony with the earth, or we're not honoring the indigenous people, the original custodians of its land, that makes no sense to me and enrages me. So yes, I do this through coaching and my podcast and my retreats and all of the things, but that's my end goal. Everything I'm doing is for that. It's for the version of the world that I want to see for all of us, right?
Yeah.
If the goal is, if it isn't as deep, I feel like our leadership can't be as potent, because that's when the ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
And then
and the ego will get validated. Usually it's like the journey kind of looks like this. Quick and fast, you get a nice little ego validation, right? It's like, oh, you post a video, somebody comments on it, you get someone to DM you, and you're like, wow, I feel okay, I'm feeling good, this feels great, da 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 da. Okay, you slowly start building, you launch your first course, you get lucky, you get 10 people to sign up. Oh my God, this is the most money I've ever seen in my account. This is crazy. I can't believe I used to work 9 to 5 to get paid this, and I made this in a week. This is nuts. Oh my gosh. And then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be tired and you're going to have done 100 million launches and you're going to get people who don't love all your content. And that's when the bigger vision and the bigger, like deeper soul mission takes over. Because here's the thing, like if you truly want a world that's liberated, which I know you do, being your friend, we talk about this all the time. I know that's what you're passionate about. And you know, my vision is huge as well. Like I'm here to change the world for my children and all the kids in that generation who are coming up. I want the world to be different for them. And I'm truly like goosebumps talking about it, because the way it is right now, it scares me for our kids. Now, there's days that I wake up and I don't want to do shit. Like, I don't want to post anything. I don't want to talk to people. I'm having a bad day. I'm having a very human moment. But what gets me up and gets me past my bullshit is the fact that I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this for validation, because the minute the validation's gone, where you at? I'm not doing this for money, because the minute you have a bad launch, where you at? I'm not doing this for recognition and international speaker and best-selling author, because if you don't get those titles when you release your stuff or put your speaking stuff out there, where are you at? And that is what we're seeing. Like, yes, there's a lot of coaches coming into this industry. Hell yes, we need it. We need it. We need it. Yeah. And what's inevitably going to happen in any industry is the cream rises to the top. And we will see who stays in for the long game and who's really here to serve. And we'll also see who are like the Instagram coaches that will probably not be around in a year to 3 years. That's just what's going to happen. Because I've been in this industry now as a coach, professional coach, since I was 26, so over 10 years, right? So I've seen the iterations of people come in and out trying to make this the thing. And, you know, most of those people have other jobs now. And that's just it. That's just how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. And I think that's why when we are connected to our mission in that way, you can feel it in the way that we show up outside of the business. And I see that with you, and I love that about you, is that you are in that embodiment outside of the business. The way you speak to a waitress or the way you speak to someone you just met on the street. And that's why so many people, I know that you've met people in the most random places and they end up coming to your workshops and working with you, because you are in that embodiment of like, I'm here to serve and I'm here to change the world. And that's not only done when people are watching.
That's it.
That's not, I do it when people on Instagram are connecting to the live, or when people on stage are watching me. Like, that's who I get to be in all of the places, all of the time, of course.
That's it. And service is in your everyday being. Like, how can you serve having a conversation with your neighbor? How can you serve when you're walking in the park and you see trash?
Yes.
Your life is your service. And if you're not willing to serve in the smallest ways, what makes you think you can be responsible for serving for other people's lives if you can't serve in the smallest ways in your own life, in your own backyard? Metaphorically speaking and literally speaking, like in your own backyard, how are you showing up? How are you serving? How are you not making it about yourself and saying yes to a greater world? That's real service.
Yeah, I love that. And for those of you listening, I want to invite you, or just offer this, that I do this with, as I said, with so many of my clients, we dive deep into this. But if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I want to get clear on what are my shadow aspects, what are the things that I get to look at to be in more embodiment, then just simply write a list, get super clear with yourself and write a list. Okay, what are the reasons why I want to serve that make me feel good? What are the novel, honorable reasons, right? I want to make an impact, I want to make a service, and I want to help these and change these and whatever. And then get super honest with yourself. Radical honesty is huge and really, really important. Get super honest and ask yourself, what are the reasons? Like, what are the secondary gains of this? What is something that I also actually want? Maybe I feel really uncomfortable saying this or writing this down. Maybe this is something that I don't want to be aware of, but just write it down. Nobody's going to see that list, and just get clear on that. Because what I have found is that when we have that awareness around the things that we are getting that might not be super novel and admirable and all the things, like, actually, I really like it when I get someone sharing my story or sharing my post. Actually, I do find myself checking who watched my stories, or I do find myself checking my likes several times a day. Or actually, I do find myself hoping that my ex or that girl in high school that was really mean to me, or whoever else that can see how well I'm doing. Just get clear and get honest with that, because the more awareness you have around that, the more you'll be able to deal with that shadow aspect at home, so that you can bring, like you were saying, Lex, that clean leadership forward. Yeah. You can be in clean leadership, which is super important. And there's so much more work that we get to do with this. But for those of you listening that want something, a little thing to start working on that, definitely recommend you doing that. And I want to also talk, Alexi, about your journey in regards to going from that go, very masculine way of approaching business and life and leadership into a more feminine flow. I imagine that becoming a mom has really asked for you to step up in the nourishing, soft, intuitive aspects of yourself. Yeah. And I know that this is a very masculine industry. And any business world, it's done in a really masculine way. So what was your journey to kind of shifting gears into a more feminine approach?
Yeah, well, first, I just want to share one thing on the note you shared in the process, which I love. I just want to remind any of you listening that maybe aren't a coach or don't consider yourself a leader, you're a leader somewhere in your life. So whether that's in your relationship or as a mother or as a father or at your place of work. So don't take yourself out of this exercise just because you're not a coach. Like, do it just to see, like, how am I showing up at work with my partner? Like, what's the part of my ego that's wanting to be fed to feel better? Because that's really powerful too. Like, Sigrid and I have done that work in our relationships, and it's freaking mind-blowing. You're like, oh my God, I'm doing it here too. So it's really powerful to have that awareness. That's okay. Side note.
Thank you.
Now, I want to also share for any of you listening, like, masculine way of doing and going is like second nature to me. Like I grew up in athletics. I was an academic. I graduated high school early. I achieved massive success at the age of 15 in the music industry. I went on tour. Like I was a professional model in, Miami and New York and all the big markets as a teenager, 13, 14 years old. So I know how to create from a masculine place. Like nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. And again, society always affirmed that for me. It's like, oh, wow, you did it that way. It worked. Good job. Here's more money. You did it that way. It worked. Good job. Here's people going, oh my God, that's so cool that you got to do that and you got to live that life. Amazing. You're so great. So I was getting all of this praise and validation from here, the outside world. But eventually it led me to various forms and times where I just completely burnt out, like mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, adrenal exhaustion, spiritual disconnection, just like feeling like I was completely superimposed in my life and just kind of walking around like a shell of myself. And so I had enough times where I was like, it was like the universe tapping on my shoulder going, are you listening yet? Like, I get that this works for this world, but is it actually working? Right. And this is what I invite my clients that are super high performing clients. I work with people who are multimillionaires who have created $100 million businesses and sold huge companies, and they're considered top success, top executives. And it's like, but are you actually successful? Let's look at your life. How do you feel on the inside? Do you feel connected to anything outside of yourself, including your wife or your partner or your kids? Like, are you actually successful at your life? And when I took a look at myself back in that time, the answer was no. I wasn't nourished. I wasn't replenishing myself, my relationships, my joy, my hobbies. Like everything had to be about achieving something. And what I recognize is the aspect of the human that wants to do, to create, is awesome. And I'm not going to punish that part of me. It's amazing and it gets a lot done. However, there was a deeper level for me that felt like a challenge to stretch into, which was, can I let things happen through me, as me, right? So can I actually like stop being the doer, where it has to happen through my hands, through my action, through my willpower? And can I go and let source and spirit come through me and move me, tell me where to go, tell me who to talk to, tell me what project to take on next, and be invited from something bigger than myself? That invitation alone gives me so much momentum and so much more of a head start than any will that my creator could do. And that's been my journey from masculine to feminine. It's the masculine is like the creator, it's the doer, it's, create your life, pave your path, and it's amazing. And I still count on my masculine sometimes, but I try and start and weave through my journey through the feminine, which is the receiver. Yeah. And I'm no different or more special than anybody else. I believe we're all receivers, right? Yeah. We're all connected to this huge power source called God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. And most of us have our heads down going, why does this feel so hard? Well, it's because we're not opening to the greatest power source that there is. And the minute I stopped trying to make it all about me and like my work and my efforts, and I said, you know what? I'm actually going to tap into this thing because this feels way bigger and more powerful, and more awesome, and more guided than this thing, right? So I'm going to open it up, let it come through, listen, right? Truly receive that, and then move, then put my creator into action once it's really grounded in something bigger than myself. And that for me has been massive. It's allowed me to separate the ego creations of my brain, where it's like, oh, this would be a really good idea because I can make a lot of money, because I could scale my investments, because I could meet awesome people. Ego, all great stuff, nothing wrong with it, but not necessarily what's driving my heart at the moment. When I get something from source, it is so aligned with who I am and who I'm becoming. That's the important part. I know it's not always easy because any instruction I get from source usually scares me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's usually like, ugh,
Do I really
I
need to
don't
do
know.
this?
I don't know if I can do that. That feels a
Yeah.
little stretchy for me. But whenever I take note from the universe, God, I'm infinitely supported.
Mm.
And it's so much easier, even though the journey itself for my ego is 10 times harder. The ease I feel in my spirit is
Mhm.
1,000-fold. It's 1,000-fold.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And for those listening that are asking themselves, okay, cool, Lexi, that sounds amazing. And how do I tune into that source? How do I open myself up to receiving? How do you do that?
Well, here's what I want to preface this. It's different for everybody.
Yes.
So I think in the beginning of my spiritual journey, because I've been on like the personal development success journey for a while, but when it turned spiritual and it needed to get a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
I tried the methodologies that everybody was saying. It's like, okay, meditate and do it this way, do transcendental meditation for 20 minutes every single day, blah, blah, blah. And that didn't work for me, right? That wasn't my path. That wasn't my medicine. My medicine personally has been time in nature. I make sure I spend 20 minutes outside every single day without an audiobook, without a podcast, without my phone, without something to do, without a person to talk to. And I just let nature talk to me. Nature is my God. Nature is my spirit. Nature is my universe. It's my source. It's a small version of it, but to me, it's like a transmitter. It's like the in between of spirit world and this world.
Yeah.
And so I get messages from little things, from watching the waves. I remember I did a ceremony at the beach where I just went out for like 3 hours on the beach while I was pregnant with my twins, like 2 weeks before their due date. And my intention was, and I set an intention. So I said, okay, my intention is to get a very clear message about next moves for me. Like, where does my focus go? Where does my heart go? Like, what's next for me? Right. And so I go and I sit on the beach and I just sat. I sat and I watched the water. And within 3 minutes, I see a pod of dolphins, right? First, I see two big dolphins, which instantly I was like, oh, that's me and Preston, right? And then I see a little like teenager dolphin, which was Kingston. And then I saw these two little baby dolphins right behind. I was like, oh my God, those are the twins. And that instantly affirmed, like, this is your pod. This is your family. Like the unit that's coming is the unit that's supposed to be here. So trust the process, trust the journey. Then this huge bird came over. And then there was this little crab in the sand, and all of it spoke to me. And whatever intuitively came through on those messages, I just trusted it. Whether it's me making up a story and I'm crazy, who cares? It felt good for me and it worked. So I want to remind people, whatever like religion you're in, whatever dogma you may have around religion, like find something that works for you and trust whatever that is. Trust that it's the perfect medicine for you. It may not be right for me or Sigrid, but if it's right for you and it works, that's it. And the biggest thing is you want to set an intention before going to this communion, this ceremony. Where shall you have me move today? What do I need to focus on? What's my next business iteration? Should I be in this relationship? Whatever that is, the receiving of a sign or a message or being in prayer with your God, like there is nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to say almost every single one of my offerings has come from moments like that.
Yep.
Like literally my podcast, my programs, my courses, they've always come through either in ceremony, that's the biggest one for me, definitely, or while being extremely relaxed. Like my last course, the idea came through while I was getting a massage. And I was like really relaxed. And then I was like, oh, okay, So that's something that as well, coming back to the masculine and feminine energies, I have found that sometimes because of the idea that we have of what productivity is and how it looks like, it's so easy to kind of go, well, I want to do the next course, or I need a new idea, or I need more clients. So I'm just going to keep pushing, forgetting that really with productivity, there are things that almost like spend that productivity energy and things that recharge it. So things like joy, rest, pleasure, those things boost our capacity to be productive and be focused and be inspired and be creative. Well, things like trying to overwork and push do not. They just spend.
Yeah, and that efforting is often, it's so funny. I was just having a call with my girlfriend who's in a transition, right? And she's like, I'm trying to figure out what's next. I'm like, is it this? Is it that? Da, da, da. And I was like, you're efforting from your human self. And I was like, I just want to reflect right now. All I hear speaking is your scarcity. All I hear speaking is the comparison to who you were 5 years ago. All I hear speaking is the comparison to all your friends in your friend circle. All I hear speaking is who you think you have to be in order to be successful. I was like, it's all the human part of you. And that's what we don't get, is a lot of this create, effort, do, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. But the question is where are you creating from? Are you creating from the human self that has a desire to control and feel safe and feel secure and has scarcity conversations? Or are you creating from the most abundant, playful, pleasurable, oh my gosh, if all things are possible, wouldn't this be awesome if? Because that is so much more potent as an idea, as a concept, as a stroke of genius than something that's laced with scarcity and, oh my God, I have to, and this is what it's supposed to, and I need a social media following, all of that. Like that feels so heavy. But an idea that's made in that effervescent, beautiful, relaxed, joyous space, it's magic. And that's why I think successful programs come. I'm the same, babe. All my stuff has come like, sitting on the beach in the sun, on an airplane ride while I was asleep. I woke up and it's like, boom, concept drop. It's like out in nature because there's no will behind it. There's no, I have to make something work. And I think a lot of people are in the creation space from will and effort and have to, and it's littered and poisoned and tarnished with the toxic undertone of scarcity and not enoughness.
Yeah, that's huge. And you never know where things are going to take you, right? Like we could be in that space of I need to create something, or this idea doesn't make much sense. I feel excited about it. There's something in my body that feels like alive when I think about it, but in my mind, this doesn't make sense. This won't make me as much money. This won't make me as much whatever. But you don't know if that's a creation that's going to connect you with the one person that's going to bring. You never know. And it's about really trusting that. And again, as we were saying, being in the receiver mode and being able to say yes to that purpose without having to figure it out and control it all here, which is definitely a big thing.
Yes. And you nailed it though, Sigrid. It takes trust. Because it doesn't make sense. For the most part, it won't make sense because most of us have set up our entire lives around control, security, approval, and divinely inspired ideas don't care about that, because the most divine, whole, and complete version of ourselves is a whole being. There's no part of that being that doesn't feel enough because it's everything, right? So when we get connection to that and we are truly connected to that and we receive information and inspiration from that part of ourselves, it's just so powerful. But you have to trust that the breadcrumbs will lead you somewhere, and not even do it for that, but do it to actualize something that's been put on your heart to actualize.
Yeah, I love that. How was your journey to trusting that? What's something that helps you to trust in that, to really be?
Hindsight. I look back at my life and I look at all the crazy things that have happened to me, both good and bad, right? Some things very traumatic, some things very exciting, some things extraordinary success, some things like terrifying lows, but it all brought me here. Like it is all exactly what had to happen for my life to be exactly what it is. And I love my life. Like I love my life. And if anything was different, my whole life would be different. And so hindsight gives me that reminder that it's like, trust, babe, you're going to be good. You're always good, even when you're in the lowest part of your life. It's bringing you somewhere. It's opening something up for you. It's bringing you insight that you didn't have before. Trust it, and trust that you'll be able to get through it and be better for it.
I love that. I love that. And I love that it's something that everyone can do right now. Just really look at all of the proof that you can gather that shows that you were always supported and held and guided, even when you didn't think so. Right? It's like when we go through a terrible breakup and we're in this space where it's like, will I ever be in love again? And will I ever find someone else? And then we fall in love again and we're like, oh my God, I'm so glad that happened. Like, I'm so glad I got out of that. But then we go through the next breakup and it's like, oh my God, like again, the same story. So really, I feel like what I love about that is that it brings a certain rationality and direction to the fear-based thoughts that will kick in when we want to trust. Then you can come back to that list and be like, wait a second, actually, I consciously and intentionally decided that I was always taken care of. Everything's always okay. So that's definitely huge.
Yeah. And even think about, especially for people that have had a vision or a goal on your heart that you haven't actualized yet, trust that there's something that is still being brewed or prepared within you that is going to hold that vision or something maybe close to it or maybe totally different. But there's something that's brewing within you right now that is going to make you a better human and better spiritual person, having a human experience, to be able to be with that. Like I have this one friend who's amazing, who is a singer and a musician. And, she's been at it for 20 plus years. And her whole thing was like, I need to hit it before I'm 25 because the music industry doesn't like older people. So I got to be successful by 25. She's now 40 and she never hit it at 25. She didn't hit it at 30. She didn't hit it at 35. She's now hitting it at 40. And she goes, thank God I am now getting what I thought I needed back then. She's like, one, it looks totally different. Two, I probably would have died because at the time she had a drug issue and all the things, and success would have just amplified that. And now she's got a connection with source. So she's actually utilizing music as a vehicle of expression of the divine. What a magical thing. And yeah, it may have taken a little longer than she expected, but it's right on time. Always right on time.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I love that you brought this up because that is one of the most powerful things that we can do as well as humans and as leaders. As you know, like I just went through a really hard 3 weeks. Like it was really, really painful. And I was like crying in every corner and like having like a really full on time. And I remember that even in moments where it felt like my heart was breaking so much, because I have that experience of everything, it's always happening for a reason that's going to make my life and my experience and my being better and bigger. There were moments where I was like literally crying, like boiling my eyes out. And I was within myself saying, thank you, Spirit. This doesn't make any sense to me. I absolutely hate this. And there's so many reasons why I want to tell you that things should be differently, right? I don't like this at all. And thank you. Because I know that this is helping me stretch and expand for whatever reason. And that's going to support me and my mission and my life. I don't get it yet. I can't see it, but I know within myself with absolute certainty that this is happening for a reason. So when we can get to that place, it's not only that we are receiving more ideas and being in more embodiment and therefore being more potent and powerful as the leaders that we want to be, but also I feel like suffering lessens, and even the lows are way more manageable because we have that understanding and that knowing that it's okay. Like whatever is happening, it can hurt and it can feel really uncomfortable, but it is happening for a reason. And that level of embodiment, as I shared with you, I was like, damn, I do feel really proud of how I handled this, because it was really painful and it was really hard, but I allowed it to be, and I allowed it to move me in whatever direction it had to. And I feel way stronger and way more embodied and way more expanded now because I wasn't trying to resist it.
That's it. And you said something that just like locked in for me, that is such a like takeaway moment that everyone needs to really consider. And it's something I remind myself of all the time. Instead of going to spirit or God or source or however you pray and asking for it to be different, thank it. Thank it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this, even though I can't see why yet. Thank you. Thank you for this gift, even if it's the shittiest gift you can think of. And I've had clients and friends who have gone through terrible things. They've lost children, they've lost partners, all sorts of like the most terrible things. And yet, even in those moments, they can say thank you because they can feel themselves being moved in some direction from it. They can feel themselves growing, going deeper. And even though we don't know why things always happen, the meaning that we can create from something and how we can choose to be with it, that's what cultivates resilience. That's what deepens our character. It's what brings us more in touch with our heart. Sometimes it takes a heartbreak in order for us to experience our heart opening, right? And like you said, you don't necessarily know why yet, but you do know and trust that it is going to expand you in ways that you can't even fathom yet. And that's powerful. So instead of asking and always coming with like, hey, why me? Can't this be different? I want X, Y, and Z. Say thank you.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I love that. And I love to finish on that note, because I think that's very powerful. So thank you for bringing that and wrapping that all in. And again, Alexi, thank you. I know that now you're going back to your huge life and all of the babies and all of the things. And yeah, I'm really, really thankful that you've made time for this, and thankful for who you are, and not just who you are as a leader and as a friend, also who you are by bringing the most beautiful, handsome babies into the world that I get to enjoy watching, and all of the things that you are and that you be. And yeah, I'm really, really thankful to have this conversation with you in here, to get to share you and your wisdom and your magic with everyone listening to Sacred Leaders, and to have you in my life. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me on. This was awesome. And yeah, I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much. Bye, love.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this video and got lots of value from it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for many more value-packed free videos, and share this with anyone in your life who can also get value from it. If you want to get access to all of my free resources and connect, check out the links in the caption. Thank you again, and I will see you on the next video.